That is true. The good news is how this is.
All right, call the meeting to order at 6 p.m., January 20th, 2025. Roll call. John?
Here.
Ben?
Here.
Brittany? Here. Myself, Brad, is here. Keith will be joining us soon here. All right, announcements. Anything? Next meeting's on February 17th. That's it? Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Can I get an approval for minutes from the December 16th meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Expenditures. Can I get an approval for expenditures?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Treasurer's report.
All right, our beginning balance as of December 1st, 2024, $46,842.59. Total deposits, $539,137.02. Total expenses, $438,462.25. Our ending balance, $147,517.36. Local government pool, $1,919,312.93.
Can we get a motion to approve treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I'll let you get logged in. We don't have anybody from student council, right?
We do not.
Committee as a whole report.
We have minutes from our committee of the whole meeting.
Okay. Those are there if you want to view them. Charter school update, Wings Charter School.
Biggest thing for us right now is the open enrollment window. January 1st through February 28th is when we have the open enrollment for the charter schools. And we've been working on getting that out publicly to a few different avenues. We have a committee working on that. And then we had a family survey go out in around Thanksgiving and in December that didn't get a whole lot of results, so we're gonna send that back out. And yeah, the project showcase was last week. That was one of the areas we were looking at, talking with folks about getting out the word for open enrollment. And still working on getting our board up to date with a lot of the stuff with Works, the Wisconsin Resource for Charter Schools, and yeah, plugging along.
It's coming together.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? I don't remember.
No, I don't think so. But the just hitting on the showcase last week. I mean, a lot of people attended it. It was a good. I thought it was a pretty good event. I don't know.
Yeah.
John was present as well. And
Yeah,
so
it was very nicely done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, and we did have a presentation at our last meeting about the grading system and how that works with the project-based school. So that was really helpful to learn a little bit more.
We had the same right after.
Oh, gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah. So,
All right.
all right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ida.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ida.
All right, that brings us up to the athletic director. Nathan, take it away.
So just a quick update on our winter sports, girls basketball. At the time that I wrote this, they were 8-1. They're now 9-1. They won against Mellon on Friday of last week, so they are now in sole possession of first place in the conference. That would be pretty monumental because we've never won a conference championship in girls basketball in the history of our school. So that would be a
Never.
nice never.
Never.
Wow.
Never. So that would be an awesome accomplishment. assuming that they're able to
Halfway
keep
there.
up their winning ways. So that'd be great for our girls' basketball program. And boys' basketball is 6-4 and 5-2 in the conference. And then middle school volleyball was supposed to start tonight with their first match, but that was postponed due to weather. But there's 23 girls in grades 6 through 8 that are participating in that program, so that's a nice big number for them. They're supposed to play tomorrow, and that game is going to be moved as well. So we have to jockey the schedule around a little bit, but at least we got girls and they're playing. So. The next piece is we did have 2 applicants for the middle school volleyball position after it was reposted, and Amanda Gatormson is the person that we were bringing forward for for approval for that position. I believe later on in the meeting. So. The last piece here, I sat in on a Zoom at the beginning of the month about the proposed NIL amendment that's coming to the membership in April at the annual meeting. There you can see the notes that are there. It's pretty similar to what was in front of the membership last year. That was voted down. I guess my big takeaway is that last bullet point there in summary. Like from the presenters of the Zoom call I was on, that there's concern because now last year it was about 50-50 of the states that had NIL and those that didn't. Now we're in the far minority of states that do not have an NIL opportunity for athletes. I think there's only like 16 now that cannot, and there's concern that the state legislature will just mandate that there's NIL and how it will operate, and so by putting forth our own amendment to be approved, then WIA can kind of tailor it to their needs instead of having the state legislature say this is what it's going to look like. So.
Do you know, does the WIAA have any sense of what the legislature? Does anybody?
It wasn't put on by WIAA, so they didn't, the presenters, they didn't have any information as to what it could look like. And I haven't gotten anything from WIAA unless you've heard differently.
Last week I sat in, Stephanie Hauser, who's the president for WIA, was going over this same stuff, and there was no indication as to where the legislature lies on this topic. So she just knows that there's concern and that we should probably get our ducks in a row sooner than later. So as a state. So.
Yeah. One thing that did come through that was a question mark last time would be that 4th bullet point with the sub-bullet underneath it, that compensation cannot come from school or persons associated with the school. And then it was, the other piece here that wasn't clear last time was that any businesses or individuals who donated money or equipment during that high school athlete's tenure. Because before there was a concern, well, company X had donated money in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever, so does that mean they couldn't enter an NIL deal with an athlete? And as long as they haven't donated money during that kid's time in high school, then they could enter into an NIL agreement. So that language has been tightened up a little bit from the last time we voted on it back last April. So.
Do you expect any impact in our district?
I don't.
I mean, it seems
the twofold. One, our community is very giving. Most of the people that would be involved in such opportunity as this are already donating to all of our programs, and whether they're athletic or to the building as a whole. So they would already be out to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't, we don't have an athlete in our building that would be such a caliber that we would have a national corporation or a state business that would be like, I gotta get that person's face on a billboard. So I just don't think that it would come down to it. But I guess the important thing is that if we did, as long as they're not in our school uniform, they don't have anything associated with our building, then it's okay for them to enter into that type of agreement.
Right.
just wanted you to be aware of that, because that was newer information coming to me, and again, that vote will be in April, so, you know, we can maybe talk about it leading up to that vote, just how you'd like me to cast my vote for that. Because I wanna make sure that we do what the wishes of our district is, because it is a district decision, you know, how we end up voting, so. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Right, thanks, David. Principal's report.
Yeah, so just a few updates today for kind of in line with our PLC and our process this year. We had Melissa from CISA 12 meet with our ELA teachers in lower elementary and just kind of go through the process of identifying our essential ELA standards and start unpacking those. And so it was really a neat experience to be a part of, and it just really helped our staff determine, you know, what we want our students to learn and how that's going to guide our instructional practices and increase student learning at the same time. So that was very productive today. I know they got a lot of that work done on the ELA standards. And then again, our PBIS team continues to work on some things within the school setting. We are going to try to do a celebration day, PBIS celebration day in the month of March. So kind of really focus on the good things that the students are doing on the elementary end as well. And hopefully middle school, high school be a part of that as well. And so just continue to get a lot of great positive feedback from some of those things that we're doing with the PBIS team. We held
Quick question.
Yep.
What's a display of gratitude? I mean, is there an example of?
Yeah, so just students being grateful for the things that, you know, they have available to them, and just, I mean, I had different nominations from staff, just how they displayed that gratitude, like just being grateful for the help that they receive from a teacher, you know, that additional support outside of the classroom. So that's just a small example of.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Curious.
Last week we conducted a bus evacuation drill that went really well. It was on a great day. It was beautiful outside. Sun was shining. It was received well by the students and staff, and so it was a perfect day for it. And Mark Delberg kind of oversaw some of the drill on the bus, and Kayla Iverson was a part of that as well. So it went really well. And then I just have some upcoming events. Semester is ending. The end of this month we'll be doing our Unity Spirit Week, which will be fun for our students to kind of do some different activities throughout the week, and that's the entire district that will be involved in that. We are planning to do an ACT practice test February 4th, just, you know, again, making sure our students are prepared for the big day. And oh, no, go ahead.
Can any student take that, or just juniors?
Just juniors that we're planning for. And then we have our parent-teacher conferences coming up in February. And then just some of the upcoming work, again, our master class schedule for next week, continuing work in that area, continuing our work on our AGR goals and data points. Next month you'll have a updated presentation on where we're currently at with those items. And then our admin team met with CISA 12 and putting into place internal and an external communication plan, and kind of solidifying some of those components within the district. So that's all I have.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Superintendent's report, please.
All right, so I've got a couple things here. The first one, Superior Days. I'll be honest, this one kind of, I don't know, fell into my lap. So what happened is I had reached out to our UW-Madison Extension person that supports 4-H in the hopes that this person could help support our after-school programs and create a club here in the district. Well, it turns out she mentioned, hey, I have money for Superior Days and to send some of your students to Superior Days. And Superior Days is an event that occurs in Madison where students can engage with state legislators on specific topics impacting our region. And this year, the top thing that they're really pushing for is support of education. And there are a few different topics, and we'll talk about more of those a little later here, but part of it has to do with equity and funding, as we talk about special education and other stuff. So once again, I'll address that. But wanted to make sure I get this out in front of you guys. I know it is a pretty quick turnaround because it's participation February 10th through 13th. And according to our policy, this requires board approval because it is an overnight stay. So, I need to get approval to move forward with it, and we're already soliciting. We've got some students that have interest in potentially participating in it, so.
And are they essentially lobbyists?
Yep.
It's,
Or-
in a way, it is, but it's, we take a look at the topics impacting our district, and that's what they're gonna be talking about is the things that are impacting our district. And the two top things, I've got them listed, later on here, which to me is kind of a big deal. Because our state aid is shrinking, and the amount of support and reimbursement that we've gotten for special education, I think is inadequate, and I think the legislators know that. This topic has been in discussion for multiple years now, and I think they're gonna move forward with it. So, that's one, and then, the other, it's, just having to deal with the equity in how things are funded. For instance, the Act 20 legislation, it's a requirement, it's a mandated program for all districts in the state of Wisconsin, public districts, to implement a specific training required for teachers K through 3, and then other requirements that we have to follow through, or that we have to follow. Zero funding has come out for that. So we're footing the bill to get our staff to put in additional time for this training that's been mandated for us. Funds were allocated for it. They have not been released. So it's things like that we're trying to advocate that impact us, but then other districts as well, so.
So if this was approved, are you thinking of a plan on prepping the
Yes.
students we'd send? I mean, when they're not gonna go down there as a blank slate or?
That's exactly it, is there would be some prep stuff. And this would be coming together as a group, not just for our district, but for the Northwest Wisconsin. And I know there's a prep evening on February 7th in Superior.
So just to be clear, we're giving our students a political opinion to take down to Madison like a children's crusade of sorts.
It's more, I can see where you're going with that.
Where am I
And-
going?
and- Well, one thing that I will say that I don't wanna do is indoctrinate our students to have a certain opinion. But I will say, giving them the facts and saying, these are some issues, and talking to legislators and trying to understand both sides of this piece, so, anyway.
Bruce Myers used to leave this up every year when he was here, and he would take the students down. They would get to meet their legislators who we've elected. It's also an educational thing to understand how the process works, why do things work the way they work. They get to watch a legislative session go on, so they get to overview that. It does also inspire kids that, that maybe want to go into the political science area at some point in time. Maybe they feel this is an avenue they'd like to pursue. So there is educational value in this. So I can't even remember the last time we sent kids down to this.
It's been a while, because Superior Days used to be funded by a group when they used to go up with Superior and take the bus down, and then Bruce did some fundraising
Mhm.
to continue for a couple of years, and then there was lack of interest in fundraising for it, and there wasn't the funds for it, so it fell by the wayside. But kids always, I mean, this always came back with a very positive outlook on it, and I've never heard anybody that's said, man, I wish I never went to that. It's like, why did I?
So is the name Superior Days just in relation to the city of Superior
It's
as a
been-
region,
It's
or?
been that
it's the
since I was
region.
in high school.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
the
been
region.
something that's gone on for years.
Yeah, cause
Even-
like I went when I was in high school, I wasn't real thrilled with it then, cause we went with Superior people,
Right.
and they told me, oh, you're gonna talk about the trail. What trail? That's what they wanted me to talk about, but they like told me like 10 minutes before we went and saw
yeah,
that.
so this isn't statewide, I mean, kids from Economo Walk aren't going to Superior Days, this is just kind of like Douglas
Just-
County, or?
Yeah, our
Okay.
region, absolutely,
Okay.
so.
I'm glad you have like actual topics that affect our school. That's one thing I hated when I went up, cause I'm like, well,
Other than that.
I don't know how this affects me and why am I
Right.
talking about this?
Yeah.
I know nothing about it, I just feel, but if you're doing what you're talking about, you know, giving them what facts, what we
That's-
need as a school.
Right, and that's it, is that, you know, I get leery about directing kids to, this is your talking points. I wanna make sure they have all the information, but understand, this is what's impacting districts, and that's what's impacting us. One topic that always concerns me, and there's a few districts around that have it. We are considered property rich in some sense, but I will say that most of the property rich locations in our district are not, they're not residents that have kids attending our district and have a vested interest in our district. That has an impact, right? It's not the same as Superior. And I will say that I've had dialogue with Amy Starzecki, who's the superintendent up there, talking about the specific things affecting us. A couple of those topics that I already brought up, it impacts everybody. But that one specifically impacts us more than, you know, some of the other districts, so, anyway. Okay. Next item, and then this is getting into it, you know, it just, you guys saw my update, I wanna make sure I followed up with this. You know, that, you know, we've been talking, with WASDA, who is, that's the Wisconsin, Association of School District Administrators, and then SAA. We've chatted a lot about Act 20 funding and the resources, as well as that special education reimbursement thing, because it does, it really impacts our bottom line and how we're able to take care of staff, how we're able to take care of our facilities and whatnot. And those are the points that we're trying to really push on these two items. Because I think it is not responsible where you have a governing agency who is sitting on a budget or a surplus and is telling us that we have to do this training and unwilling to utilize the funds to support the training that's required. Because it impacts the district, but then it comes down and it's impacting the teachers who have to put in that extra time and they're not getting compensated for it. That's where I have a hard time with this. And then also the special education reimbursement, you know, I put on there, it's the amount of funds that we're transitioning out of our Fund 10, our general fund, 7% of it. That's above and beyond that flow-through fund that we receive for federal support. So, I mean, those two items alone
So it's-
impact our bottom line.
It's been funded, just not released?
They have not released the funds
Do you
yet.
know why?
No clue on this.
Okay.
And it comes back to that political jockeying and positioning, where you have some that really wanna hold schools accountable, but not put forth ways to support it. So, and, you know, this was passed in 2023, so it's well over a year that it's been out there, so it's unfortunate. But anyway, enough of my political stuff on that. And as long as we're talking about some of the pieces, I think you guys might have seen it in the newspaper, there's 3 candidates for the state superintendent race. Those are the 3 listed here, and I will say that the association that I'm interact with the most, which is WASDA, is not supporting or endorsing any candidate at this point. And I don't see that changing.
Now, is that the same, like for Jill Underley, it's that Governor Evers will not endorse, but is he not endorsing anybody then as well, or?
Nothing's come out at this point in time, as far as the other two candidates. What's been very clear is that he is not endorsing her.
Oh, okay.
So, take it for what you will. It's just, that's out there. So, anyway, just wanted to share that information with everyone, so.
Is that correct? South Dakota?
Yeah, I saw that.
School district?
Sauk Prairie.
Yeah,
Sauk Prairie,
in South Dakota.
no, school district.
School
Oh,
district.
school
Oh,
district, I
school
thought,
district.
I saw SD, I'm like, South Dakota, why are they even,
Why is he even
No,
running
no,
here?
sorry. Sauk Prairie School District, which is
Okay.
just northwest of Madison.
Well, I knew there was
Yeah.
Sauk Prairie too, and I'm like,
Yeah.
here, and I'm like,
Right,
okay.
Yep, we got it.
so, anyway, no comma, that was the indicator. Anyway.
Whatever's good with English.
All right. Next item, regional preparedness tabletop exercise that is occurring on January 29th. That's at the Government Center. Sat in on it last year, and I think it was pretty productive, but it's, and I'm looking forward to it again. We've had some great discussions, just building up to our preparedness with safety last year, but going a step further, knowing that one thing that we haven't fully handled and addressed is our preparation for environmental or hazardous material response. And with the railroad going through the middle of town, we need to have something there. So knowing that's been something that we've brought up and we'll be addressing here. So anyway, so more to follow with that. And then last but not least, before school program, that 21st Century Community Learning Center grant covers before school programming, and we're getting that. We're soliciting for spots for that now, so.
Or putting in for it, we haven't touched.
No, we've got the grant, it's
Okay.
more of putting the programming in place.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Okay.
So, no dramas there. So the grant does cover that, so we're good. We're on year number 2 of 5. The only problem is, or I shouldn't say problem, a concern is if we reapply for that grant and we don't get it, the continuation of it will not occur because then we are fully funding.
Fully
it.
funding it, yeah.
Right, so, just knowing that it's contingent upon renewal, that we continue beyond that year 5, so. That is all.
All right. Brings us up to, public comment. No one here tonight. All right. All right, personal recommendations. All right, Ruth,
Volchek.
Volchek, for food service. All right, she's putting in her resignation. She's had a year and a half.
Mhm.
And then Amanda Godormson, of course, for the assistant middle school volleyball coach.
I'll make the motion to approve both the resignation and the hiring recommendations.
Second?
All right, Brad and Ben, thank you very much. All right, all those in favor?
All right?
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, consideration acceptance of donation from Como Gas and Oil for high school holiday activity day. Cookies donated and supplies, and then Ann Markham, food service account of $200.
Yep. And I've got the note sent from Ann. Please distribute where you feel it's needed for delinquent lunch funds. So,
All right, appreciate that.
I'll make the motion to accept donations as presented.
Second.
All right, Brad and John, all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, ad hoc maintenance committee.
okay. You guys can.
All right, here we are.
You guys can come on up or stay where you're at.
Come on up,
doesn't matter.
Carl.
I could hear pretty well right here.
Okay, all right, that's fair. All right, so, I have something added on board docs just for your review. There's a number of different issues and concerns that we brought up and identified. Tried to map out, you know, what this looks like as far as cost and how it would be dealt with. And I don't know if you want to speak to anything, Thomas and Carl, so, on this.
Well, I think we're just still in the process of really seeing what priorities
Mhm.
come forth in this whole thing too, at this point.
Right, because I did kind of put it on there based on our discussions previously,
Sure.
just kind of mapping out where this lays. I know that some of the top priorities that we talked about is the kitchen dishwasher. That was a big item.
You can double those numbers, honestly.
Perfect.
I mean, oh yeah, you're talking 14 to 20 grand for another conveyor.
Did we
Perfect.
already fund that last year?
We did not fund that.
We did our,
I sell them all the time, so I know.
We did with the freezer and the cooler.
That's not a Hobart or anything.
However, one thing that just came across today as we're talking about that topic is there is a fiscal year of 2024 just received, or we have that. It's a National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant. So each
I already like that
entity
for you.
can use up to $15,000.
You need it.
So that will help, and I got the application open, I just need to get some more information to fill it
Yeah, on the
out.
low
So-
end, you're looking at a $14,000.
Perfect. So, all right.
Okay.
High end, you're looking at about 50.
The,
Let's look at the low end.
so make the kids wash.
right.
It's
KP.
problem solved.
Kitchen patrol.
Other items that we took a look at was our restroom sinks on the elementary side. That's the one unit, and I remember in my travels in a different district having the same exact one, and it works just the same way, and they replaced every single one. It does not shut off in a timely fashion, so it'll save us some money there. Any other thoughts or items that you want to mention?
Well, I think the entry point too is something that you felt strongly about. And,
Yeah.
probably pretty good priority on that too,
Yeah.
for looking at it.
Right, and it comes down through there's a couple different ways that we can take a look at it. You know, using our existing structure and not really adding a lot to it, but adding in control entries going into the elementary side as well as going into the cafeteria. That could be locked and controlled, so then when people come in that current front door, they do not have free access to those wings, and we can control that, right? Otherwise, you know, we're looking at a much more extensive upgrade in that front and actually rerouting people through the current office, which would require that removal of the window with the AC unit, which during the summer ain't gonna lie, that's kind of nice. I can't feel it too much in my office, but anyway, that's another topic. But just knowing that that's gonna be a much more extensive way of handling that flow, because you're gonna have to expand that, because you can't just have one door. It has to be, I think you have to have doors coming in, which is gonna take up a chunk, and that's gonna have to be controlled on both sides, so.
Are you thinking of sealing the current entry doors or leaving them as exits, or what?
So any way you look at it, the current front doors would remain, because they could still operate as an exit. So, and that would be wise, especially with the gym being right there with our sporting events. Because you have two exits in the back, and then you'd have that in the front.
Yeah, because I mean, if you had to do emergency exit, funneling every kid through the office,
Yeah, right.
I'm not a fire.
And this would be only during the day, right?
During
When
the day.
school-
That is correct.
Yeah.
So like when the school starts, they'd be coming in through the main doors, the kids in that, they wouldn't be coming through the office.
There would be controlled, because you'd have people there controlling
Yeah.
that access,
Yeah.
that's right, so.
But they wouldn't be funneled
we do
through the
now.
office.
Yes,
This is more for like when people come during the day, I think.
yes, it is.
So they're forced to come in and stop at the office and check in, and
Right.
not just somebody will coming in and, oh, I'm gonna pick up my kid and run down the hall. You know, it's more of a control and safety issue, and a lot of districts have advised that. I think we had that before.
Yeah.
Frank was here to advise changing that front doorway.
Is there anything that you see on this list that, now you've got priorities, but is any of it critical? I mean, is anything close to failure or?
The ones, that dishwasher, that is a bigger concern. I know Mark has already had to work on it a little bit this year. That I think is one of the critical things, as well as our PA system and getting that checked out. 'Cause
Like what kind of work?
Like understanding why it's not loud enough in the kitchen, cafeteria, and then on the exterior. Because when there's an announcement made, I can be in that parking lot and I cannot hear it when it's supposed to be.
Oh, sorry,
Transmitting
I thought you were
outside.
talking about the dishwasher.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
The dishwasher, you just can't get parts for it, and it's getting well used, so. And there are one of two requirements that you have to have. It either has to have a chemical treatment, or it has to be heat treatment, and if that goes down, we can't supply either, so, anyway. So those are really the big things that we're looking at right out the chute, so.
Good job on this, guys, and girls, or whoever did it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, anything else, Carl, Thomas, that you
Well,
wanna
I think
add?
one of the things that probably needs a lot of discussion yet is a daycare center.
Right. That's it, because there are a number of things that come up is, yeah, the daycare, cause today we had to have it closed because
Heating.
the heating, and it's not located here, so you have concerns about security, you have concerns about, you know, the facility itself and maintaining it. Yeah, and then also the staff to go back and forth to deal with whatever, whether it's trash, whether it's maintenance, et cetera. Okay?
Time spent traveling.
Right. Other things that are on here that I didn't get a chance to update too is, I think let's be honest, with the older part of our building, there are heating units that have been in there for
60-some years.
a while. And when you have Leanne, Mark, or myself having to go down to those rooms continuously, I would say, 8 or 9 times in the past few weeks to get those things running so the temperature can actually get up to a degree where people can focus on their learning instead of shivering,
What are you
Okay.
doing to get them running?
resetting them.
Just like the thermostat or
No, it's the actual,
the whole unit?
The
the
motor.
unit itself.
Reset within, although one of them, it's just getting I can't think of the motor to start.
Blower
just-
motor?
Just.
Are these
get it going.
standalone units? It's not a,
It's a separate unit for each classroom. It's all hooked into the boiler system,
Yeah,
so
it's-
Oh,
it
it
can
is?
get
Okay.
there,
Okay.
They're blower
but
units.
the blower units and whatnot are not, you have to reset them. And yeah, when you have classrooms that are 50s, probably not good. And that's just being honest there, right? So,
And it's every,
well,
like
isn't there
every
a
other
life
room.
cycle kind of replacement for stuff like that? I mean, rather than.
we can, but we also have to understand where that kind of fits into the budget and figure out how we deal with it.
Yeah.
So, because we're talking 9 units.
The boiler itself is.
The
Boiler's
boilers are
new.
fine.
Boiler was put in when I
So-
got
Yeah.
on the board. So that newer boiler's been put in along with the backup.
Yeah.
And we switched over off the old pneumatic system to an or to electronic system, but not all the individual heating units got
Yeah.
upgraded at that time. So we got a large majority of it, but we have individual, heating unit problems.
Yeah.
So So they're pretty ancient.
So,
And how many kids have laid on them and sat on them, and they've been abused real good.
anyway, so
Yeah.
that's a concern of mine as far as how we fit this in. I know we've had other things that have come up that have really chewed into our operating budget. You know, cause we funded, you know, a fair amount of our roofs last year and this year. And, yeah, where does that fit into this
Sure.
mix? So, anyway.
Is there any, possibility, you know, because we're in such a frigid area of getting some, kind of grant for heating?
I'll take a look. I haven't seen anything of that nature. I know there's been, you know, different grants for energy efficiency, but that won't fall under it, so. We can keep looking around to see if there's anything available, but
But otherwise, we should probably, you know, when we can, get it on our regular
right,
maintenance replacement schedule.
right. Cause you've got that, and then there are some other items that we're gonna have to deal with here
Yeah.
in the future, and that's part of this listing. There's a number of things that I think will have to be addressed here, but in our continuous cycle of budgets and whatnot, I don't know how we get it done. So, and that, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, I'm just saying, I'm
Right.
not sure how we're gonna get it done.
Well,
So,
probably sooner than later, when funding becomes more critical, I mean, we're.
It is, it's
Yeah.
getting tighter and tighter as we go.
Yeah.
So, that's it. So,
It's a good
Anything
report,
else,
this
John?
is very helpful, thank you.
Yes.
So-
Thank you.
I see the small garages on here, roof.
yes.
Have we started using that as a garage yet? Or is it still a storage?
It's a work in progress.
Okay. Just wanted to stick that knife in a little bit
Yeah,
there.
thank you, Brad, I appreciate it. No, we're working it, so, anyway.
Students.
Anyway, so,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, from the perspective of the board, if we wanna continue working with the ad hoc group to continue to refine this, and work, I guess, I want your blessing on this, so.
Bless you.
I believe it's a good.
Well, I
mean,
just
we've
asked
come up with a lot.
to narrow it, to
I thought that.
really let us know what's critical
Mhm.
and what's good to have.
Okay.
Right.
Basically,
I mean, lockers, okay, lockers, but that doesn't compare to heating units.
Right.
Right.
So,
No, I agree.
Yeah. Well, we've got a list, I think it just needs to be itemized, what is our top priorities? You know, number one being our top, and number 5 being, well, we can get to that, like say lockers, they work, but heat is pretty important
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
area.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go right ahead.
I'm having trouble differentiating between commas and periods when people are talking tonight.
Sorry.
What would be, like, if there was an amendment, like, the third, I'm trying to wrap my head around, budgets are tight, you're not seeing a lot of wiggle room in the budget. If, you know, we're not paying for the roof next fiscal year, I don't think. So I would, the more you can help me wrap my head around the fiscal reality that you think we're coming into, that would be helpful. 'Cause
Right. So, no, I appreciate that, because I just take you back here to October when we talked at our annual meeting. This year is the first year that we're not able to really put funds into our fund balance. You know, so we're not in a dire situation right this instant. You know, we have a balanced budget, no issues. But as we continue to go along and look at that potential for increases in our property values, that's gonna decrease the amount of state aid that we receive. That's just reality. So our state aid has been decreasing, continuing to compensate our employees and keep them here is gonna continue to
Yeah.
rise as long as we keep our current employees, right? If we're getting new employees and we're having that shuffle, that just creates another situation. But any way you look at it, your cost of living increase is gonna continue to drive that, so.
The quote someone just told me, reminded me today, they said the leader's job is to define reality.
Right.
And I am not saying, I'm not these are things we have to pay for.
Right.
Like, this is not, I mean, it's not a Christmas wish list, like, we need this stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm not suggesting this is the solution, but if the projected budget, if we can't fund what we need, then I think we have to talk about, don't we need to talk about the referendums that fund this stuff?
Right. And I will say that's where this is going. Because just taking a look at, we can chip away at this list with our current budget. But I don't see how we can manage and stay out in front of it.
Well, we can chip away, but then what else is gonna be going up,
Right.
whatever, I can't think of an example,
Right.
like, we're not gonna win this.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And all I can do is give historical context here. Over the past 2 years, we've had valuation increases of 22% and 13% respectively, which then has that decrease in our property value. So, or, correction, decrease in our state aid funding for our district. So then that's decreasing the amount of funds that we have available.
But isn't there a correlation to increased property, value equals increased property taxes? So as state funding goes down, the contribution for property taxes.
It should,
I mean,
but
it's
it
supposed to kind of
doesn't, it does
keep leveled
not.
out.
Yeah, it does not,
Does not rise as fast.
Yeah.
so.
Well, I mean, the other thing we need to look at too is when we get to that point is maybe there's programs to be cut as well.
And that's all part of this, and, yeah.
I mean, if we have a limited budget, short of going to referendum, and I don't know if we're there yet, but if we're not, then it's maybe
So-
looking at other, areas of savings.
Yeah. What I would say is you're almost getting into a realm of two different types of referendum. One is that capital, which deals with our facilities and infrastructure, and that could deal with upgrades and additions. That's one thing.
Right.
The other side is that operational piece, which you're kind of alluding to as far as what is it that we're doing as a district with staff and programs and whatnot. That's another a topic, right? So, yes, we're gonna have to figure that out at some point in time, because that, one of the other topics on here is that approval of that middle school, high school course program. We have to get that balance as to what we're providing in district and what we're not. And I know that there are some concerns from our parents as to what we're providing for our students. And it comes down to those hard decisions on what is it we're gonna be able to provide, and how do we do that? So, anyway.
Thank you, and thank you. And there's candy as your payment if you like something.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it. So, I will be in contact with you guys to continue
Okay.
this, so.
Awesome. All right, middle school, high school course program missions.
Okay. All right, once again, just the information provided last time on the surveys. I received one additional student survey, did not have an impact on our current numbers, so.
Okay. So you say approval of families, what,
Do we approve it?
yeah,
So, based on that, with the surveys, it's coming out that family and consumer ed position would be the recommendation for addition and hiring, so. So what I would ask for is if the board is so moved to approve that position, and then bringing a job description to the board next month for approval, and then posting.
So moved.
Second?
All right, Ben and Brad, all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, open enrollment seats.
Once again, this is.
Anything change?
No, this is the same, we provide the recommendations and just for your approval.
I make the motion to approve the open enrollment recommendation.
Second.
All right, Brad and John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, academic and career planning update.
I'll make the approval, motion to approve the updated academic and career planning plan.
A second.
All right, Brad and John. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Technology, security, and purchases.
That's the laptops and stuff.
That is correct.
yeah.
And this is partially what
Dave.
Dave
This,
did.
this,
Yeah.
this is what Dave
Yeah.
presented, as well as the two-step.
I don't see that on here. I'll make the motion to approve the purchase and security practices.
Second. All right.
Who seconded? Oh, Brittany. All right, Brad and Brittany. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion passes.
Now I can say.
All right. Superior Days Field Trip.
I make the motion to approve the student participation in field day, or Superior Days.
I'll second that.
All right, Brad and John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. One nay.
Nay, what do I say? Is it aye or nay?
Nay.
Nay.
One opposal.
Okay.
All right. Motion passes. All right.
I make the motion we go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Stats 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
Second.
All right, Brad and Ben. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are in closed session.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody take a
I probably
five.
have it to the point where I don't even have to read it, Ken.
Yeah, you've done a great job speaking on reading.
Try it on your
We
wife
gotta have
sometime.
dinner.
You know what, we'll just take this.